Okay, everyone, let's go ahead and talk about my Lightroom preset. Now, my Lightroom preset is just about as basic as I am, so I don't even bother selling it. Let's just go ahead and run through it. It's so simple, but it's so clean, and I love using it. And we can go ahead and start this video right now. So let's go ahead and go to the Develop module right here. We're going to go to our basic panel, and we're going to skip pretty much everything except for profile. We're going to change the profile from Adobe Color to Adobe Standard. Now, if you're using an older version of Lightroom, you will already be in Adobe Standard, so you don't need to worry about this step. So white balance, skip it. Exposure, skip it. It really just depends on your image that you're working with. Contrast, I like to go 15 in the contrast. So just add a little bit of punch, not too much, not too little. Highlights, since we're working with a general preset, I like to make this -60. It's a pretty good value to go with. It's not too crazy of a change to the image. Like if you went -100, I think on some images it will just look a little bit muddy. So -60 is fine. Shadows, let's boost the shadows by 45. Just makes the images a little bit brighter. And we can go ahead and go to clarity, and we're going to add 15. 15 in the clarity just gives a little bit of a punch and a little bit of a structure to your image. Really brings out that detail in some of these areas, like the flooring here. So let's go ahead and skip dehaze, skip vibrance, and go down to saturation. I like to add 30 in the saturation, and we can go ahead and skip tone curve, go down to HSL and color, and we are going to switch from hue, and we're going to go ahead and go to all. Now scroll down to saturation, and we are going to go -30 in the oranges, and then hit tab and go down to -15 for the yellows. And from there, I like to go -30 in the greens. I feel like my greens tend to be a little bit too oversaturated, which is why I like to go -30. Pretty simple stuff so far. Now we're going to go ahead and go to luminance, and we're going to go -15 for the greens. I like to make the greens a little bit darker, so I don't know, it's just kind of what goes through my head. Let's go ahead and go to blues. I like to make the blues a little bit darker by going -15. Really helps for enhancing the skies in your exterior photos. So let's go ahead and go down to detail. I like to go 45 in the sharpening. That's pretty much it for the sharpening. Noise reduction, I also go 45. And color, I go with 90. That just removes the color noise in your photo. If you see here, if we go all the way to 0, you can see just a little bit how we have different variations of color in our image. So it looks a bit funky. Let's go ahead and just get rid of that by going +90 in the color in noise reduction. Smoothness is pretty easy. It's just how smooth the color noise reduction is. So typically I like to have the smoothness be set to 90. I like having my image to be pretty smooth. Not noise reduction, I'm sorry. Lens correction, we're going to go to profile, remove chromatic aberration, and enable profile corrections, and I always set this up to auto. Now, if you have a lens that has no electronics in it, you may want to go to custom and go to lens profile. Let's say I had a Rokinon lens, and it was the Rokinon 20mm f2. I want that, and that's how I would set up a custom lens. And you can obviously go ahead and change the amount of distortion that you feel like the lens has, or the amount of vignetting, but we're going to go ahead and stick with auto since our lens has electronics in it. Let's go ahead and skip transform for now. Effects, I like to add a vignette for my images, so I like to go -15 for my vignette, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much how I set up my preset. It's very simple. For like a finishing preset, all I do is maybe I will adjust the white balance temperature, and I will go down to transform, and I will apply a vertical correction, or sometimes level, or sometimes auto. Little tip for you guys today: if you use auto, you can use that in a 1-point composition and it'll get it like pretty damn good. Vertical is pretty good for 2-point compositions, and level I use that for exterior images. So let's go ahead and save this preset. So let's go ahead and go to presets right here in the presets tab over on the left side. Go to this plus icon and we're gonna create a preset. And we're gonna call this, I don't know, everyday. I don't know. And we're gonna make a new group and we're gonna call this real estate, just like so. And we have a couple options down here on what we want to save. White balance, typically don't save it. Exposure, don't save it. And then everything else is pretty much good to go. So that's pretty much it for that. And we can go down and it creates a real estate folder. And from there, we can apply a preset or everyday preset to an image. So there it is. Pretty simple stuff. If you want to see it on like an ambient image, let's go ahead and use that on an ambient image. Add the everyday preset. It's a very subtle preset, but it is very, very clean. I love the way it looks. So that's pretty much it for the preset. If you'd like to see more videos on like Lightroom presets and how to develop your own, leave a comment in the comment section below and I will try my best to get to it and explain it in a way that is simple. So anyway, take care guys.